You have to draw a line in the sand. You have to build some boundaries.
Maybe I'm not the right one for him.
I'm to a point where I don't want to try anymore.
You are hurting yourself. This is something we see regularly.
What is someone in your life fighting for? And how can you be there for them?
Okay, well, we have a lot of chat questions that have come in. I'm going to sift through these while you're answering this first question that we had emailed in. So this first question, it says, my wife has pretty much demanded that we separate for her sanity and so she can be happy. She wants out of the marriage and feels that the separation is step one. I've agreed to do this, but only because I have compassion for how she is feeling, even though I still very much want this marriage. Who should be the one to move out? And what do I do in the meantime to help my marriage be reconciled in the future? I've been working on the pies, but is there anything else that I need to be doing?
For those who are not familiar with the material that we teach, let me first explain what PIES are, P-I-E-S. It means physical, intellectual, emotional, spiritual. Understand? P, physical, I, intellectual, E, emotional, S, spiritual. Don't have time to explain all of those in detail right now, but if you go to marriagehelper.com, marriagehelper.com, you can read all about the pies there so you can understand what he's saying. If people ever ask my opinion, should we separate? My opinion is separation is going to work against you, not for you. Is there ever a time to separate? Yes, if somebody's in jeopardy. You, your spouse, your kids. If somebody is in jeopardy, separate. Get to safety. Safety is extremely important. Other than that, if you separate, the minute that one of you moves out, that actually decreases the tension. And because it decreases the tension, then either one or both of you will automatically just feel a little bit better right off the bat. And it's like, now I can breathe. Now things are better because he's not here, she's not here. Well, that makes it a lot more difficult to do things to try to put the marriage back together. Because once you get some relief from the tension of your problems, and relief will come if you separate, some relief will come if you separate, then it's that much more difficult to get the other person to come back into the situation to do what needs to be done to reconcile, to put it back together. Therefore, separation generally is not a good idea. Now, again, if somebody's in jeopardy, definitely do it. Otherwise, it's not a great idea. Interestingly, I've even heard of some counselors who tell their clients they're going to do a directed separation. I will decide, you need to separate, each one of you will see me individually for X period of time, and then I'll decide when you can come back together. Really? If your counselor suggests that, I suggest that you run and you find somebody else to deal with you, because that's just ridiculous. Now, there's another dimension, particularly for you, husband. Now, I'm not sure that this applies in every state, every county, and every city. But there's a general rule around America that if the husband moves out, if you actually leave that domicile, if you move out and go someplace else, you actually give up some things legally. And when it comes to the divorce, that can actually be used against you. Now, again, I don't know exactly how that applies where you live, but that general rule appears to work around America in most places. And so you actually, if you're going to move out, I would suggest that you check with an attorney who's very experienced in working with husbands and what husbands give up or lose if they move out. And if your attorney says, no, there's some things you're going to lose if you do that, I'd recommend that you stay in the home. Now, if she wants to move out, then obviously she can if she so chooses. But then if that were to occur, I would still involve an attorney to make sure that the children have the situation that's best for them. Because it may be that it's best for the children to stay in that home where they have been domiciled, where they have their own beds, their own pillows, their own bathroom, or whatever that it might be. You follow how that works? And so even if she's going to move out, and if she says, I'm going to take the kids with me, if it were I'd speak to an attorney and say, help guide me through this process, because I also want what's best for my children. And so in general terms, unless somebody's in jeopardy, I would suggest that you don't move out. But of course, it's your decision. I'm not telling you what to do. And if you stay in the home And if she stays in the home, be kind, be gentle. Don't nag, don't harangue, don't manipulate, don't push. Because if you ever want a chance of making this reconciliation work at some point, then think this way before you say or do anything. What I'm about to say or what I'm about to do, is that more likely to evoke a negative reaction in my wife or a positive reaction in my wife? And if you think it's more likely to evoke a negative reaction, don't say it. Don't do it. If you think it has a really good chance of evoking a positive emotion in your wife, then okay, say it or do it. But if you're going to stay in that home, and even if you choose to leave the home, you for a while need to be extremely cognizant of how she's going to react to what you say and do. Now, the fact that she says she wants you to move out for her own sanity makes me wonder, are you nagging her now? Are you pushing her now? If so, stop that and maybe her, quote, sanity, end quote, will come back. If on the other hand, it's because of the fact that she needs you out of the picture so she can do whatever it is that she wants to do, then there's not a lot you can do about helping her sanity, because it's really not anything to do with you other than the fact that you're in the way, that you're the obstacle. But do some great self-analysis here. Be honest with yourself. If you're doing things that are driving her nuts, stop it. It's not gaining you anything. So in everything, I'm going to repeat this, it's redundant, but it's that important. Before you do or say anything, ask yourself the question, is she more likely to react with a positive emotion or a negative emotion when I say or do this? Now, did I answer all that question, or was there more to it?
I believe you answered most of it. And there's another question that came in that's going to piggyback off of this. So I want you to give this other aspect to it. Someone else had written saying that their husband is done, basically. They recognize, the woman who's asking this question recognizes that she's been critical, controlling. Her husband moved to another county once out of the marriage. She follows it up by saying, he's very cold and withdrawn, but he's still willing to meet with me, basically to talk about dividing up our stuff. Mm-hmm. Should I send someone else in, like a pastor or someone else, to intervene to try and get him to want to come back to the marriage? She says her husband recognizes that she's made changes, mm-hmm. but isn't willing to come back and make the marriage work.
Okay. So as you understand the question, is she asking about the wisdom of doing an intervention?
No, that's another question we have. That's a different question.
Okay. At this point, she just wants to send somebody to talk to him.
Yes.
Okay. You know your husband and we don't. Therefore, you have a greater understanding of the likelihood of how he's going to react to that person. Just the other day, an old friend asked me if I'd call an old buddy of mine. I mean, she's the wife, he's the husband. And would you call him on my behalf? Would you help me out? If you want to ask somebody to do that, you really need to analyze as best you can what emotion is that going to evoke within my husband or wife if the situation is reversed, of course. How is he or she likely to react to this? If he or she's going to feel manipulated or controlled or pushed or dominated in any shape, fashion, or form, then how do you benefit by doing it? And if you think maybe he or she will react positively, okay, I think he'll be okay if somebody goes to talk to him, make sure that whoever it is that you send to talk to him is somebody he truly respects, somebody he truly likes, and somebody who has good sense. Because if they go over there and lower the boom on him, like, what are you doing? Get back and do what you're supposed to do. That's probably not going to help. Now, is there someone in his life that could talk to him like that and he would take it? If so, maybe that would work. But the greater likelihood is that it won't. Therefore, first I would evaluate, redundant now, how do I think he's going to react? If you think it might be positive, okay, then make sure you pick the person that he would respect and react to well, and that person has good sense, that he'll go over and listen and understand and gently coax him to do the right thing. Now, if you have a negative on any of those, like, I think he might react badly, or I don't know if he respects the person I would send or not, or I'm not sure that person has good sense, then what do you gain by doing it? If you're not going to gain something, don't do it. Don't throw a Hail Mary pass. Well, that's a kind of a guy illustration for football. Don't do anything out of desperation, thinking, here's my last gasp, maybe this will work. He's going to meet with you. You're going to talk about dividing up your assets. If and when that occurs, I suggest that you be very calm, be very strong. What I mean by being strong is don't give up things that you really need to hang on to as you discuss that because you think that somehow giving those things up will bring him back. That's not good. You must stand for whatever it is that you need. But be gentle about it, be calm. Even if he gets upset, if he says, you're just being mean, you just care about money, whatever, you just stay calm. I'm sorry that you feel that way, but I need to do what I need to do to take care of me and our children, if the children are involved. Otherwise, I would not send the person unless I felt really, really good about it. If they meet all those criteria, give it a shot. But if it doesn't meet every one of those criteria, well, it's your decision. You do what you think is best. But my suggestion is that's probably not a smart idea.
Mm-hmm. And you had mentioned in the question you had submitted that you know that in the past you've been critical, controlling, and all of those things. So question, is he going to see this as another controlling move on your behalf? And if the answer is yes to that, he needs to see that there's a difference in you, that there's some kind of change. And also keep that in mind when you are talking about dividing up your assets. If you've come across as controlling in the past, then you're going to have to be even more sensitive now to how you come across in that conversation and make sure you don't come across as controlling.
Very good. Excellent.
Something to continue to fight against, but you can do it. Takes a lot of intentionality, but you can definitely do it.